refill or charge back up, it takes a long time. But if you can get...
That's a pretty good mileage range as well. So
yeah, 200 mile plus.
Even if you're going on a long trip, you still have time. You can do some stretches, get some snacks while you're doing that 30-minute. You know what I wish we were making more cool? Little cars like this. You know what I mean?
They're pretty cool. They could be cool. You have a cool car.
Well, no, but I'm saying my car's not a cool little EV. I wish it were like the utmost of the coolestness that you only paid 11 grand for your car and it's this cool little zippy EV instead of it being like, oh, that's a fancy luxury car being cool.
Well, maybe this is the start of it because it's happening.
That's what I'm hoping, yeah.
In fact, coming up later on Pattern, we're going to talk about another Chinese manufacturer that's making a splash in the EV market as well. So that story here in just a bit.
Yeah, so stick around for that. Caribbean, which is such a big thing. This is the important part of us moving into these renewable ways of living. It's the new jobs that are being created from it.
And I think, soon we're going to have to probably see some kind of like government intervention when it comes to, because right now plastic's created by like chemicals. You can get it by, there are bioplastics out there where you are basically making plastic from things deriving straight from the planet like this.
Right.
So if you could just do that and they're more biodegradable and get rid of the chemically driven stuff, ultimately that'll help us chip down on this big problem of keep producing more of the plastic. And we're trying to recycle it, but it's not happening fast enough. Then you got it in the landfill, and then it's just causing its own problems.
But if you're using the seaweed, you're solving, you're killing two birds with one stone, or saving two birds with one stone, for lack of a better term. Because if you've ever been on a beach where there's smelly seaweed, you know that you don't want to be on that beach. It ruins the tourism in some of these places that really depend on that. So it's a double whammy for fixing things.
All right, we're going to talk about California for a second. They're leading the country in EV sales.
California has also set a goal to have 250,000 public and privately shared charging stations by 2025, and I think that's a big part of it. Whenever you talk to someone about why they don't want an EV, why they're not ready for it, one of the big things is, well, am I going to be able to find a place to charge it? So California is kind of solving the problem to give an extra initiative.
And if you can afford the electric vehicle across the country, so if you could cut that cost by purchasing.
It really is heading in the right direction. I can't wait to see how everyone follows suit and the different charging stations and industries that are going to pop up as we move more toward that. Well, time now for Facts or Facts. How does your city rank when it comes to green space?
That's a good question.
I know. Wallet Hub ranked cities across the U.S. based on the percentage of green space they had.
Of this list, Salt Lake City, Utah. They could actually pull into the top tier sooner rather than later, and that's thanks to a new project they have called the Green Loop. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall joining us now with more on the Green Loop. And I guess, Aaron, thank you so much for being with us and chatting about it. What is the Green Loop? Where did the idea come from? And how is the progression of the whole construction going, I guess, if you call it that?
It's an idea at this point, but...
So you're kind of testing the idea out now. What kind of feedback are you getting, and how is that going to steer the direction of the project?
Most of the feedback...
Being in Salt Lake, or even just Utah in general, the entire state's like a green space. Whether you're in the desert, you're out mountain biking, it's such a beautiful area.
This question, just to play...
How good are you at cornhole?
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
I'm just kidding. So you mentioned
this morning
that you're taking up some road space. You mentioned that. So is that going to impact the flow of traffic at all? Are you getting any pushback about this might increase traffic?
It's hard for anybody in Salt Lake to...
What status are you in right now for this project, and when do you, break ground or actually move forward? What would be the next step?
Yeah, we're doing a 6-week pilot. We're in the second...
Very nice. Cool. Yeah. It looks fun just from the images that we have. We can't wait to report on the outcome after.
Yeah, that's Salt Lake City Mayor.
You should come to try.
I know.
We definitely will. Aaron Mendenhall, thanks so much for joining us today. Really cool concept. I think that is a... like she said, a very odd type of urban designing, a six-ox cart making a U-turn, but it turned out to give them all this extra space.
They have this road, and there's so many areas where you there was a area, so it's just another way to think about it rather than just destroying something. All right, we still have a lot more to come this hour on Pattern. Do you all...
Welcome back into Pattern. Scientists have made it clear if we want to prevent further warming and damage to our planet, we have to reduce our carbon emissions.
Yeah, and I know it sounds like a really big task. So here to talk us through it and walk us through the possibilities, a climate expert, Carl Parker, to give us an idea.
Wow, that is amazing. We're going to talk more about this. Of course, this is right down our alley, but We'll have to
I know
come back
another
to
one
that.
too is food
Yeah,
waste that we can
food
get
waste.
into.
Gotta
Carl
get back to
Parker's
that.
got all this stuff, but all these lists that we try to give you is just for all of us to kind of help out a little, because then everyone doing it together helps out a lot.
Helps out a lot,
Hey,
that's
we got
right.
stories.
Next on Pattern, if you want more EV options, just hang tight because more.
Everybody, you're home for the latest news in climate change and sustainability. I'm Jordan Steele.
And I'm Felicia Combs. Steph Abrams has the day off. Now, when you think of the countries manufacturing and exporting the most cars, you probably think of Japan, Germany, maybe even the U.S. But there's another major player now. That's China.
Yeah, Chinese auto exports, they've jumped by more than half in the last 2 years, surprising Germany as the surpassing Germany as the second largest car exporter. CBS News correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is going to explain to us why we might see more Chinese cars in the U.S. and how they'll likely be electric.
I think maybe one of the most interesting things about that whole story was the sharing of the cars that's possible.
I've done it. They have some of those apps where you can like rent your car out and stuff.
Yeah.
It's totally doable. It gets you money back for sure, but you definitely have to be like on standby in case someone rents it real quick. You got to get it to them and all that. We'll see how it pans out. It's super interesting.
Yeah, it's one way forward for sure.
All right, still ahead on Pattern. This isn't your app.
What is going on with the weather? It is quite active across portions of Louisiana.
Yeah,
Jeff.
they're really getting drenched here across northern parts of Louisiana. And yeah, we still have the tornado warning to talk about here.
Are seeing those dry conditions. Others are dealing with rising sea levels. That's what concealed an abandoned military hospital and cemetery until now.
Yeah, researchers made the discovery last year near Dry Tortugas National Park, and since then they've been piecing together the history. Josh Morano is a maritime archaeologist joining us to talk about this discovery. Thank you so much for being with us. And I guess, like, what exactly did researchers find at the site, and how deep were they? Because all I could see is video.
Oh, hello, and thank you.
How deep were you guys when you found it? How far under the water is it?
The hospital and the cemetery. What was the hospital used for? Do you know?
It was a
Cool.
So when you take a look out that people are going to like not only drop their jaw on the floor just because of what we found, but maybe because of specific people who have used it?
already with the site.
Wow, so much history there. And obviously, this site was not always underwater. So how did it come to be this far underwater?
Studying everything and doing what you need to do, documentation. Are we, the public, going to be able to come and if there's any like treasure found or any artifacts, do you guys bring that to a specific place at the national park that we could see?
It depends.
Well, Josh Morano, maritime archaeologist, thanks so much for joining us and talking to us
Appreciate
today.
it.
Awesome stuff there. Not so much awesome going on with the weather right now.
Now let's get an update right now from Jeff.
All right.
Pattern, everybody. We are so excited to follow eco-explorer Mike Corey on another adventure he's going on to long-forgotten places.
He has so many adventures, and this week on Abandoned Exploration, Corey takes us to a massive island fortress.